Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Gray Area Show on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I am Mr. Bennett, followed by my partner, as always, with a new name, the Sparta HQ Network, a.k.a. Sparta! A.k.a. the Ghost of Sparta, a.k.a. Peter, a.k.a. Panagiotis, a.k.a. Corporate Robber Baron, a.k.a. Capitalist Corporatist himself on the show. So we were engaged in some hostile negotiations in the background, and Mr. Panagiotis himself has revealed himself to be a corporatist. So we're going to be dealing with some things over the next several weeks as we go on with this.
Before we get into that, I have a little proposition for you, Mr. Bennett. I just realized two teams are playing each other this year. I didn't realize that. I don't know. We talked about it. I just really realized because I was going over the schedule. Let's put a little wager on it.
Oh, I'm down with that. We can. This show's about money tonight, so yeah, we can definitely put some money down on this game.
I wouldn't really think about money, more like bragging rights. Like maybe you should say every time, like if I win, Spartan Network is the greatest network in the world, or something like in those lines. Or
first of all, the wounds are too fresh today. Both of our teams bought it today. So the Jets, y'all lost to the Broncos. I mean, come on, man.
But they had a strong team. Let's give them credit. They haven't lost a game yet this year.
No, the Broncos, we beat them.
They're 3-0 right now. No, they're 4-0 now.
No. The Denver Broncos have at least 2 losses. I think they're 2-2 at this point. They won last week.
Right now.
They're 2-2 at this point. So we beat them the second game of the year, but they've won their last 2 games, so they're doing something good over there. But yes, the Steelers bought it, had several chances to win. We shot ourselves in the foot. So again, we should have been 4-0 in Indianapolis, but didn't happen. But yeah, so no one's.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. They're 2-2 now.
So
because before, and the Jets are 2-2. They're tied up. So as much everybody's riding on the quarterback, I keep saying this. I'll keep saying until I turn blue to the goddamn fucking face. You cannot ride on one player. It takes years and years to build a good team. Give him a few more years, and he's definitely a Super Bowl team. Couple more years. As long as they keep it, the players, then they start firing people. They
got to stay healthy. And I know my team's pretty banged up too. So our offensive line was beat up going into the game. We lost a couple folks in the game. So So still looking at my wounds there. But yes, down the line, I believe we play sometime in December. The Jets go to Pittsburgh. And so certainly I'm more than happy to put a wage on it. I'll put a lunch on it. If you win, I'll buy you any Greek gyro that you want anywhere that you wanted, whatever you want. Yeah, so we'll. But if I win, I'm still working that out. So, but again, thank you all for joining us again. Katelia, as always, thank you for hopping in on the show tonight. Yes, we bit the bullet tonight. Shot ourselves in the foot a lot of times this afternoon. So yeah, but hopefully we'll improve from here. But just thank you everyone for coming on to the network tonight. And again, certainly as you come in, make sure you hit the like button as you come in. Certainly supports the algorithm. Also go over to the Sparta HQ network and hit the like button there also. Certainly this broadcast is being simulcast over there as well. So you can certainly go there and show Sparta HQ Network some love as well. And again, consider dropping us a Cash App, certainly to the BND Network. So again, if we get the scroll going, again, we're not taking the traditional YouTube support for the time being. So again, consider dropping a Cash App to the BMU Network, so that would greatly help the network. But if anything, consider subscribing to the network, becoming a member of the network. Again, if YouTube is allowing that at this point. But we're gonna sort all those things out in the near future, and hopefully keep this platform going. Again, we offer programming about 7 days a week, and certainly we're always looking for new ideas on how to grow the platform. And I know the Sparta HQ Network is certainly rebranding itself. It's definitely I pronounce gyro wrong. I know it's Hito, right? Hito.
Yeah.
So that's thank you, RGB, and welcome to the show tonight.
So gyro is technically the American term of it because a lot of people cannot pronounce gyro. So I do understand what she's coming, and she's 100% right. And I literally had to say,
what do you mean Americans can't pronounce it? We've been taught it. We've been taught it. Look, it's hero, right? Yeah. We all know hero. We just replaced the H with a Y, and there you go, hero.
Yeah. So, a lot of people don't want to pronounce it like that. It's a very common miscommunication. I just had this conversation with somebody recently, and they're saying oh, it's not hero, it's gyro, and and it's not gyro, it's not hero, it's gyro, and you're not gonna tell me how to pronounce my fucking food when we made it popular. Fine, I can give credit to Turks. We stole it from them, but we made it better. It's just it's got to be honest here.
Oh wait, so there's a Turkish hero.
Yeah, it's more spicier. Spicier, like they put more like a curry and stuff like that in their sauce.
Oh, I got to try it then.
Yeah,
I have to try that.
Yeah, I personally like the Greek version because that's what I grew up on. There's a couple other versions out there, like a Middle Eastern version. Like I had what is it called? When they bless the food a different way. I can't remember what it's called right now. Hang on, let me look it up right now. I'll tell you exactly what it's called. It's a specific name. It's called. And it's actually, I get it with lamb and stuff like that. Swama, yes, thank you. I got a swama once, and they had gyros there, and it's great, but it's not made the same way. I'm like, I was kind of disappointed in a way. It's because I grew up on that stuff. But again, I get it. It's not. You're not gonna always be pleasing everybody. It's very hard to please everybody with the food. So when I even make food, I take it with a grain of salt because you cannot make everybody happy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where the topic starts, because we're always talking about, food, but how do you get food? Money. So the reason I came with a topic with everything that's going on lately is with the elections, the crisis with the economy exploding, going up and down. Like we're in a crisis right now with money. So, and she's right. Most of them are made with lamb. That is correct. Lamb or pork actually is the correct way to make it. So, as I was saying, this reminds me back in Greece, back in the early 2000s when we changed the currency, and the Greece economy has not still recovered over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have seen old folks grabbing their phones and calculating the different, from drachma to euro. But you can't do that because the money's printed on the drachma is not even worth the paper anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very nervous and scared that that's the direction we're heading to right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely pretty unstable. With the again with this global economy. So obviously Greece adopted the euro. When they adopted the euro, that was
to early 2000s.
Early 2000s, but yeah, I thought it was about
Yeah.
20 years ago. So they adopted that, and currently, I was just looking at some information before we got on. I think the euro and the dollar, they're almost like at parity with one another, and so for the longest time, and I think the euro, I think, had an advantage over the U.S. for a while, which was interesting, which I did not know, because everyone talks about the strength of the U.S. dollar. They say for business purposes, especially if you do business overseas, you actually want the dollar to be a little on the weaker side. But with the strength of the U.S. dollar, it's more expensive oftentimes to do business overseas
Oh
than it
God, yeah.
is than it is here in the U.S. So so definitely, those are things that are concerning. So you got the Federal Reserve that sets banking policy here. There's a World Bank that sets certainly euro policy, and each one is trying to have this delicate dance over the years. But I wanted to get a little bit more basic in terms of
Mhm.
in terms of policy. So has Greece ever had this is going back, and I don't know how much of this you would know, but I know for the longest time, I know the U.S. Was backed by gold up until I believe, I want to say, that early 1920s, 1930s. Certainly the value of our money was based on a gold standard, and then we went away from that. We still have Fort Knox. We still have a gold reserve there, and there's several reserves throughout the country. I know New York also has one. But what would you know? What was Greek currency? Was it backed by anything like early on? Like, was there like a gold market? Was there? Because I was just also looking before I came on, and currently right now, I think Zimbabwe just launched in April of this year. They literally just launched a new currency that's backed by gold, and I believe they're the only country currently that backs their money with gold. And I'm also looking just at the historic value of gold over the years. I mean, it's had its ups and downs, but it's interesting today that a lot of people really don't talk about the gold standard or investing in gold. Like, we have all of these fancy financial instruments, right? You got your 401ks, your IRAs, you got your insurance plans or whatnot. In fact, encourage everybody to go back to the BMD Network. Go back about a month ago on the Talk That Talk Tuesday. There was a show that we were talking about. They were. Wasn't able to be on that panel that night, but you had a lot of smart people, and they were talking about just the different financial instruments that are available to people, and I guess the advantages of each one of them. But we have a lot of objects, and obviously you got Bitcoin, and you have all these virtual currencies that are out there. But no one really talks about, at least I haven't heard in some time, people talking about investment in gold, especially in the early 2000s. Gold really kind of took a sharp. But if you look at, say, from 2000, from the year 2000 all the way up to 2012, price of gold in 2001. Let's even go back to 2000, was $495 an ounce. By 2014, it was 2200 a month, and then and even currently right now it's peaking out at 2503. So no one talks about investing in some of those hard durables, certainly the way they used to. But just from what you know of Greece, was it ever backed by a gold standard or some kind of durable currency standard back in the day before they went to, I guess, more, you said the drachma, I think, is the Greek dollar?
Yeah, that was a drachma at one time. So that was backed by gold at one point also. That was controlled by the crown at the time, the king who was running the country. And when they released him from his power and took the crown away and his power,
Mm-hmm.
the drachma kind of took a big hit. I remember bringing $100 to Greece, literally converting that to drachma, and came out to between 200 to 300 drachma, double or even triple sometimes. That how much more value it was, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
obviously fluctuate with the market, and it goes up and down. So ever since we went to Euro, I know they joined the Euro in 1981, I want to say, and they were talking about it for years. They announced it in '01, And our boy said in the comments, we went to it in 2002, and that's correct. Like I said, I remember early 2000s about when he said it rang the bell. So that literally bankrupted an economy. To this day, we're talking about what, 20 years almost, maybe a little more, a little less. It's still has not recovered, and I'm worried the way we're going right now. Are we going to ever recover from this problem we're in right now?
Mhm.
Everything is in a flux upward battle right now. But, everything's going up, but the jobs are not going up. They're actually going lower sometimes.
Right.
Like, I have gone to jobs and I usually make, between 55 to 60,000 as a chef. And they say, oh, now you're going to be dropping down to 40,000. Like, yeah, no way. I can't fucking afford that big drop. So that is the issue. And that was the issue Greece was having too. Like, the economy went skyrocket to the point no people could afford anything. And then it went, jobs were getting less and less and less because people were not going out. So this is the seesaw effect.
Mhm.
Money goes up, jobs go less because people can't afford stuff. People say, oh, when the economy is doing high, it means we're doing great. Negative. Completely wrong, because jobs go down when people are not going out as much. I'm not talking about like Burger King or McDonald's or anything like that, coffee wise, but if you go into like a good coffee shop, I mean like a legit coffee shop, you're paying like $4 or $5 a cup of Joe. People don't realize that. Now the $5 became into maybe 6 or 7. Like, how are you going to afford that? Like, if you're buying coffee every day, if you don't buy coffee, if you don't make it from your house, like buying the K cups, 50 of those are like almost like $80 from BJ's. I remember when I used to buy that for only $30 to $40.
Right. But it's still significantly cheaper than the $5 or $6 a cup, if you went actually to the place. Now, whether or not, but again, like I think we said on the one of the last shows, I think Starbucks, again, there used to be an experience that you would get. It wasn't so much about the coffee was good, but it wasn't so much about the coffee. It was about the ambiance that they were able to set there. And it was almost came like a status symbol, to kind of get your coffee from one of these sort of boutique sort of coffee shops, which Starbucks was doing at the time. But yeah, but once they went to, again, you can buy the K cups, you can get the coffee grounds or whatnot. It may have lost some of its prestige as a meeting place, as a place to do business or whatnot. So again, you were buying a lot more. Or, you were buying more so the Starbucks experience just as much as you were buying the coffee.
Yeah. And it has transformed to this big thing now. Like, people don't understand, like, there are more businesses out there opening up, but most of them don't survive. Like restaurants. I hear all the time people want to open restaurants. First of all, they have no idea cooking experience or any restaurant experience, but they think they're going to make it big. Most restaurants don't survive the first year. And I'm being very generous. Yeah. Generous by saying a year. Usually they don't survive for 6 months. So the economy keep going down, going up, but the job market, when your wages don't go up, people don't spend money. Think about it. Like, minimum wage is ridiculous in Greece. It's better than here right now. I'll tell you
what's the minimum wage in Greece right now, roughly, or relative to U.S.
$4.50 in American money.
Okay, but what does that $4.50 buy you in Greece versus here? Because $4.50 an hour, no one can live on $7.25, whatever the current unemployment is. So I know in New Jersey it went up. I think it's like 13 something. Again, Anton, correct me if I'm wrong. I think in New Jersey, the minimum wage in New Jersey is like $13.50 or something like that in New Jersey. But overall, I think the federal is still like $7.25 or something like that, $7.35. I could be wrong.
When they're supposed to raise that, technically at one point, they're saying they're supposed to go to like 18 or something.
For what, in New Jersey or in the federal? I don't think there's movement there, but there's been talk about that forever. But I don't know if the will, because how things get passed here. So I don't know if there's the will to do that at this point. Yeah, the fear is that it's just going to raise prices for everybody, because again, the corporations are just going to pass the cost down to the consumers, and there you go. So
and then we'll be back to the same cycle again.
We're going to be back to the same cycle again. Yeah.
So
I just want to just acknowledge a comment again. Audrey B, who I'm assuming is, I don't know if this person is of Greek origin or not, but she did acknowledge that back in the 11th to the 18th century, the gold was the center for trade. So I guess at some time, certainly a long time back, certainly Greece did use gold in terms of as a medium of exchange, or at least the backed currency that they had. But they went away from that certainly much sooner than the U.S. did. Like I said, I think it was like 1924 is coming to my mind when the U.S. moved off of the gold standard. But it's definitely, certainly nothing is. I think the issue is just like we're almost playing like in a virtual world when like money almost to a large extent doesn't have any meaning. Because everything is kind of up in the ether. You know what I mean? It's nothing's backed by anything. Anything is basically money is whoever, whether it be the World Bank or the Federal Reserve, whatever you say money is, and people just kind of go with that. But there's nothing substantive. Even the Bitcoin currencies and whatnot, like what is behind that. And I know guys go, are totally sold into Bitcoin. I know I was just watching an interview with Mark Cuban. He's, totally against Bitcoin. He doesn't think it's going to be a lasting currency that's going to be meaningful in terms of being able to do commerce with. So again, whatever your views are on, the digital currencies and whatnot, again, it's still a gray area, no pun intended. And obviously, certainly they've had their share of scandals over the last couple of years with a lot of high profile people, and so we don't know if that's going to be durable. But it just figures, King, your dual loyalties here. So listening while watching the game, and you're supposed to be a diehard Ravens fan, but you're still watching them by listening to us. But in any event, again, good luck tonight, because you guys are going to need it. But in any event, but it's like we're living in this sort of virtual world where money really doesn't have any value, a real tangible value of worth. I mean, so it's like the traditional ways of how we think about money. I don't know if maybe that has to change, but it definitely seems like we are, we're just in this virtual space, and it could end at any time. It's like game over, but it's like we're in a game.
So my father's very old school, like I mentioned on this panel multiple times. So me and my father were having this conversation about 5 or 6 years ago, give or take. And when I told him, listen, the money that you have in your hand, in your pocket, the paper is printed. Eventually, it's not going to be valued. Even the paper isn't going to have any value to it. Everything's is going digital pretty much. Credit. I except going to church and maybe Comic-Con, I don't carry cash ever with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I do have cash and have change, I dump it in a bucket and forget about it, to be honest with you. I might keep maybe $2 of quarters if I know I need quarters for meters. But even those in New York now, they take credit cards. I can insert my card, hit 3 or 4 buttons, and it spits out a ticket, and that's close of the day. So the paper is now of value. So eventually, I feel like we're gonna have to change the value how we look at money. Like one country has dollar, one has euro. I don't think that's gonna be a matter anymore. I think it has to be eventually a universal one because how credit cards and companies are running now. But I'm also nervous about that at the same time because again, if that happens, each country's economy may crash, like a third world country, for example.
Yeah,
like
or you get this like hyperinflation. Like I remember watching
for example,
like World War II videos, or like prior to World War II, like the German Deutsche Mark. Like at the time, like you had people like literally rolling in like barrels money to buy like basic necessities with. That's how the worthless the money was, where people were like in barrels just wheeling money into places to try to get stuff, and it was like of no value. And so it's definitely we may be going towards that kind of thing again. But I want to ask you something. I mean, this is totally because it just came to my mind. do you think the world could operate? So again, I know we're both geeks, and again, I know we're both Trekkers. So do you ever think, so in the Star Trek world, there's no such thing as money, right? People don't use money or currency, at least not in day to day, at least not on Earth. Now, again, you go to these other places on the star fleets and on the space docks and stuff like that, or the star base and stuff. Yeah, I'm sure they may use different currencies because you're dealing with different international stuff. But apparently, in the world of the future, the idea of making money is something that, or using money for necessities is something that that is done away with. Do you think that's even possible, just given humanity, that we could ever get to a point where people just the desire to make money is something that can ever go away from us, that we can have a moneyless society, and we just have something where people just have their basic needs just taken care of, but you can still go and do, if you want to be a doctor, lawyer, or actor, singer, or whatever, you just kind of go and just do what you got to do. But do you think that we could ever get to a point like that? Is that even realistic? That was, out of all Gene Roddenberry's, hopes and wishes for the future, that might be the most outlandish one, or the one that probably goes against human nature the most.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Dealing without money. So
I don't think, hey, we're going to go get an economy like we don't need money. We can go to the store, pick what we think, and walk out. I don't see that being realistic. I don't see that working. Now, if you're going to use, let's say, Star Wars you use credits instead, like a universal market, I can see that happening. Yeah. But I'm also worried a lot of things are going to crash, like depression worldwide kind of thing. But going to a market like Star Trek you don't need funds. I don't believe that. Like how are you?
Yeah, you just get, well, mind you, they also got the replicator, so you don't. If you want something, you just put it in the replicator and it just kind of comes up. So
I'll use this for example. Picard has the really nice house and the car and everything, but somebody who's a lower ranker doesn't have the nice stuff. So how can you equal and balance that? I don't see the balance behind that. I think that's too out there, too fantasized. And it's great. What if we can do that? If somebody can come on the air right now or in a chat and tell me this is possible and I explain to you why, I'm all ears. I love to hear their side of it.
Yeah. Well, I know Jason. I know he's already sounding the right. So again, he's referring this to socialism. So it says socialism is communism, and then that's a whole debate that I'm not getting into. I'm not getting into tonight. Not tonight. That gets cuts too deep. But I wasn't even looking at. But I'm just saying that the idea of again, can society exist where people just simply just do. And just buy in and just do for the common good of everybody, So, but again, if the idea is, the profit margin might be at least the way society works now, it might be as basic as, having children or any human basic instinct. It's like right after that. And, how many times, we're both really, religious people. How many times have we been taught in church or whatever, money is a root of all evil. Not that it is evil, but it is a root of all evil, and certainly how just how lives are just dominated by it, and always you have that balance between serving God and serving money, or serving people, serving money.
Is when I can't believe I forgot his name, who betrayed Jesus. It was over
Judas. 30 shekels of silver. Yeah.
It was like a pouch of silver or 50 pounds.
Yeah,
of silver,
30 shekels of silver. Yeah,
silver.
Sold them out.
He betrayed. Again, nobody says this, but I'm going to say this. My personal, I feel the money is demonic personally because it controls a lot of evil. A lot of bad things has happened over money. People have killed their own family members over a buck. Maybe not that extreme, but I'm trying to get to. People have gone to beyond extreme to make a buck. So if that's not demonic, please tell me what is then, because that's how I personally feel about money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it certainly, like I said, out of all needs, I mean, everything in the world has been commoditized. You know what I'm saying? Even sex. When they talk about, there's a reason why they say sex is the world's oldest profession. In that, it's always an exchange for something else. And that's the basis of economy. We all heard, if you took economy class, guns versus butter. That's like the classic economic model that we talk about. And so again, in fact, economics, from what I understand, the definition of economics is the study of scarcity, and basically how do you manage one's needs versus versus supply. And especially if those needs exceed supply, then what do you do in those situations? So there's always going to be this common thing where everyone's going to want something, and there's not enough necessarily to go around. Someone's going to have more of something that you may value. So again, guns and butter. Again, you may have more guns than butter, and something, you find a partner who has more butter than guns, and then you make an exchange of some kind. But at least those classic models, again, it seemed like it made sense, because again, it was something real, it was something tangible that was in your hands, that you could see and feel, and it satisfied like an immediate need. I think now, I don't know. I mean, obviously you still need the basics: food, housing, shelter, the basic needs of life. But just, the way some of these markets play, it's like, you need a slide rule to understand, again, how a lot of these, derivatives, and how all these markets work. It's definitely something that is I think it's becoming less accessible, I think, to the common person, and I think that you definitely have to be mindful of, because I think, again, knowledge and information in the hands of select few, it's not, it's creating greater, I think, economic divisions over time. Shout out to Mandrell in the chat tonight. Says economics definition is the branch of knowledge concerned with the production, consumption, and transfer of wealth. Okay, it's an interesting one. But you still got to get down to, like I said earlier, you still got to get down to supply and demand. And so even though those things are there, you're right. So the barter system, it still gets down to, again, what you want versus what's available. And again, what happens when things are less available? Obviously, that whole S curve in supply curve, when things are in great demand, is going to drive prices up. It's just the way it is. And especially in the U.S., we are a consumer economy. Now, again, I don't know if Greece or Greek, to take this back to a more cultural discussion, because I really want to get into mindsets. I think as Anton's just talking about here, what is the mindset that you grow up with as a Greek person, a Greek American, or a native Greek, when it comes to the money? What are you just taught, as early age? Are you taught to save money? If so, how much? I know you're a member of the Orthodox Church. This is a question I always wanted to ask. What do you guys think? What is the church teaching on money in terms of giving? Like, do you guys tithe, for example? Is that taught, like that 10% thing that some people promote today? But just in the life of a Greek person, what is the general thing? And are Greek people into a lot of these? Again, we got all of these financial instruments. I'll just call it that in this country everyone gets into. As the average Greek person into this stuff in terms of investing, savings, 401k accounts, insurance, money markets, and all this kind of stuff? So just kind of talk me through what the average Greek person of either Greek or American descent, what is their views on money? What are you taught? What do you remember your earliest teachings on money? And just what predominates the culture when it comes to money, saving, investing, and the like?
The closest memory I remember was my father. I was 12 years old. I asked him for like $1 or $2. He asked me, "You and your mother always ask money for me." The next day, I got a fucking job.
Your father said that to you.
Yep. So what I did, I went to this local diner and asked for a fucking job. And I was off the books, obviously. I couldn't be illegally to work. I was too young, but I was busting tables. So I got my salary was $2.50 an hour. And then I was getting tipped out from the service, bust out, in other words, they called it. A bad night, I was making like 300. Like I didn't, I thought it was a lot of money at my age at the time. 3 nights a week. Then I was working as I got older. I worked a little more. Then I went from busting tables to serving because I go, I'm not doing this shit anymore. And like they making more money. I want that fucking job. And I told my boss, I'm gonna be a server. He goes, "The fuck you know about serving?" Like I know the whole menu by my heart already. He goes, I'm like, "No, you don't." Like, ask me any question you want. He asked me like every question is possible, and I had every answer to it. Like, okay, time for you to train as a server because we're wasting your time with you. I was making 800, 900 on a 3-day weekend. Like on a Friday night, I was walking away with at least 800 in my pocket in New York, out of tips only. Again, diner. Remember that New York. They keep that in mind. New York is different animal versus Jersey, PA, and some other states.
Right.
So at one point, I was working more and more as I got older. I was making more money than my father. My father was asking for me money for the rent. For mortgage or for the bills. I didn't care. Whatever. It was like money to me. I didn't care. Now in Greece, people don't go to like, man, I want to get the new Samsung. I want the new iPhone. People don't talk about that shit. If they have a TV, that's all they need. One TV in a household is a lot in a normal Greek household back then. So you don't talk about the high-end clothes like, oh, I want to get the new Jordans. Nobody will sit in line in Greece for overnight to get a pair of Jordans or to get the Gucci's or anything like that. They don't care about that. Like go to a local mom and pop shop and buy normal clothes, whatever, no brand, no special name, just some guy who bought clothes from a company and that's it. And sometimes you might pay $5 or $6 and call it a day. That's it. So, or say 5, 6 drachmas, So the economy here is completely different. Like I remember coming here, people talking about Jordans. I'm like, what's so big deal about Jordans? What's a big deal like that? The only thing I was always fascinated. You know this. Most people who know me, I'm a gamer. So yeah, I like video games. So I always wanted the newest system, the newest game, but I had to work for it. Simple.
So are you saying that Greek people overall are less consumer, like the whole consumerism thing that we talk about in this country, that they're less about having to have, back in the day, but you don't know about now. Like
now is different.
Right. So the current trends now is that they're very much into, again, the latest and greatest fads and gadgets. And again, obviously, because you've been back and forth between Greece and the U.S., again, your experience from what you described earlier is similar to that of a lot of immigrants when they go back home. They just think that when you go to America, you just have a ton of money. And what you bring back with you, so when you go to Greece, you can't come, or any country for that matter, you can't come like empty-handed. You know what I mean? And it used to be back in the day. I remember my friend of mine's from India. So again, I work with a lot of Asian Indians. And they would be able to go like to India. And as long as it was an American product, they didn't care what it was. So back in the 80s and the 90s, you could literally go back to India with a Hershey's bar or Snickers bar or something like that. And just because it was an American product, it had a perceived value that was greater. Now it's like if you're not bringing back Godiva or from something from a chocolatier, so the game has changed. So it's like the level of expectation has changed in terms of what is considered valuable in the minds of the people. And now, obviously, with the linking of the world through social media, through the internet and whatnot, people, I think across the world, I think have this sense of of what is valuable, and it's pretty global to an extent. So again, an iPhone, I think, has relative value in any market in the world. Even if you went to Sweden or whatever, where I know they make what was that phone, cell phone manufacturer that was, I think it was Swedish based or something like that. I don't know, it's a Nokia or something, one of those brands from.
I think it is Nokia. I think it was Nokia.
Yeah, I think it was Sweden. But again, you take an iPhone to Sweden, it's still going to be an iPhone. You know what I mean? There's certain brands, there's certain global brands that have that. Yeah.
So the market in Greece was cell phones for years and years, and now they're start breaking the market with iPhones was Android. So you were seeing a lot of Sony phones, Motorola phones, Nokia phones, and Samsung phones. So those are the most popular ones. I'm gonna say off my head. I remember that when we had the Nokia, remember the square ones? I call them the bricks. That was the most popular phone in Greece. Cheap and easy to get. That's what it was. So now I'm seeing advertising on Greek TV. I stream it. So saying get the iPhone 16 Pro Max for only this amount of money, and no contracts. Greece don't have contracts in the phones. You have to pay, is prepaid always. So you have to pay outright. Imagine paying all that money outright. Now they're getting to the point like here, like, oh, I need a new iPhone. Let's run to the stores. They're not going to be on lines, but they're trying to buy phones still.
Mhm.
So the market has changed there too. Now it's sort of slowly iPhone is kind of like, it was like down here. Now it's switching over. Excuse me. Because, of the market. iPhone has been trying for years to break the European market, and they haven't. Now they're finally breaking through. Obviously, the UN had a lot of pushback. You have to do is EUBC and all this stuff. Besides saying that, a lot of people don't have $1,500 to drop on the phone on the spot right there. $1,200, $1,600, or whatever the case is. I'm not sure what the new one is up by now, but it's not cheap. The Pro Max is not cheap. They're expensive fucking phones. I have a 15 Pro Max personally. Again, we are very special because I know the only country that you can pay payment plan on your phone, on your own cell phone company. Most places, you got to pay outright or use a credit card.
Right.
Think of that.
So, yeah. But just the proliferation of, again, these global brands. Now, again, there've always been brands, right, that have always had a global prestige to it. So, like a Rolex watch, or a Mercedes Benz, or a what's the other prestige brand? The Bentleys, and like
Gucci, from a guy.
Right.
And so on.
You've always had sort of like these brands, but now it just seems like everything is like, again, on par. Like the fact that everybody is connected, people see images that Cash Rain Mindset, again, good evening. It's just harder to have like the value sets that, like in one place, like again, you might not have been 20 years ago. You made it came from from Finland. Thank you for the correction. My man, shout out to Anton, man, Anton's my fact checker. He gets all the
he's our man. He's our
so
he's the MVP.
So I'm hiring him. Absolutely. So it just seems like just globally, right?
Well, you said you're gonna hire him?
Hey, we need to.
I gotta talk to HR first. Hang on a second.
Okay,
here.
That's right. I forget you're the capitalist corporatist guy, the robber baron as you are. But it just seems like the value of things just over the world it's almost becoming like one value. Like you go to a place. It's hard to go to a place that's like we don't value that stuff, or the standard of living is such where it's so much cheaper. Because again, people are more and more desiring these exports, these global products, these brands and names and whatnot. Like I said, you can't go to India and just give them any kind of sneaker. You go to India, they want Jordans now. You know what I'm saying? They want the high end product. And in some of these places, the cost of the product, like Australia, I know a friend of mine went there like to buy you want to get like an iPhone in Australia. It's like $2,000, $2,500 in relative terms.
Yeah, somebody just put in the chats the Pro, or not the Pro Max. The Pro is $1,700. So it tells you right there. So I overestimated in Greek, probably to about €2,000. I would say, if give or take.
Yeah. So I mean,
I'll find if I can find it really fast. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
So I'm just saying. So we're living in this age where again this demand, this global demand for goods and services, which seems to be driving up just prices, just sort of overall. And then you have, again, we're dealing in a marketplace that, again, it doesn't seem real. Like is there really such a thing? Does money have any tangible value, or that is tied to anything? But our consumerism is certainly shot up. And again, what we value in terms of what we're looking to spend on these things in a lot of economies that I've seen throughout the world, that seems to be shooting up as well. And then the expectations are such where it's like, hey, people are always looking for ways, again, how to make more money, how to get more money. So money is becoming more, essential to our survival. Forget. I think one of the guys in the back, he was talking about Audrey B. He was talking about this idea of a perma. I'm sorry, it wasn't Aubrey. It was Jason. Jason Ness talking about this permaculture or permanent agriculture as a way of being able to stem some of these tides. But again, everything is corporate owned. I mean, you got if you live in a communist country, they own the lands, right? So again, and I remember seeing in Russia, like back in the day when Stalin and the communists, when they owned the the farmland and whatnot, and people were still starving to death out there, because again they own this stuff.
Hang on one second.
And a lot of
I looked up, I've actually found a website from Greece, because Google does a conversion to a language. The low end iPhone 16 Pro Max is going for 2,100 in euro.
Yeah,
so that is only a 256 megabytes. That's a lot of fucking money for a Greek person. Imagine you got to pay that out one shot. Here we have the luxury to pay that in payments over 18 months or some shit like that. They don't have that luxury in Greece. Remember, all the phones are prepaid. Same thing as prepay here. You have to buy the phone outright on the spot. So they don't have the luxury. We have a luxury to be able to buy things now and pay it later and pay the interest. We don't realize
but
that.
Even in Greece, where are people getting the money? Like, what do you think is the average salary of someone in Greece? I mean, what is the what are people making that they can save up, especially if they're not going to be able to finance it, but they're going to be paying out of pocket for this? What are people doing in Greece to make that kind of money to shell out $2,000 plus for an iPhone? And I don't think it's just the elite people, just the people who got money, just the wealthy people are doing this. Again, is this getting down to the mass consumer, where people are saving up their monies and whatnot, trying to buy these devices, when they're devices that'll probably do 90% of what they need the phone for a lot cheaper. But again, the prestige is with the iPhone, so people are willing to fork over that kind of money. But we've talked about this before. I mean, the average Greek person lives a lot more modestly in terms of their lifestyle. At least they used to. But now it's like everyone's trying to. Antoine, I'm sorry, lost in translation. $22,900 is the average salary in Greece.
That sounds pretty right.
So you're talking about a month's. You're saving a month's income to buy an iPhone. And people are willing to do that. So I mean, for me, that's a mindset. That what is it about for a phone that's going to be, you may not even value. And that's the thing too. Like me, I've always held on. Like I'll go 3 models. I had an before I got a 13 Pro right now. I had a 10 before that. I had a 6S before that. So I can wait until.
This one, I have a 15 now, but I had the 12 before that. I waited like 3 years. I think it was a good amount of time. But this one, I'm gonna wait at least till the 20 comes out before I update it again, because they don't really change that much. And that's one good thing about iPhones. They don't, even Androids now. All the phones don't upgrade that much anymore.
Well, that's the thing. There's an incremental. It's been leveling off for a while. Like the features, like between an iPhone 6 and an iPhone 8, you were like, wow. Well, the iPhone X, it was like, wow. But again, you're getting such marginal change with any of these devices, but still the mindset of a person that says like, I have to have the latest and greatest. I have to have that, the way they market it or the way I have to have these devices. And I'm just saying, 183307, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. So they say the 17, the change is coming. So again, Loss is saying that, for the 17, they're going to have, I guess, warp speed side of changes or evolutionary style changes in the iPhone. Again, we'll see. But certainly you could probably go back to the, what would you say, the 12?
Yeah, the 12 I had before I had the 15.
But again, as far as in terms of major changes, yes, I mean, they might have they always increase the camera a little bit, but, is it so much?
It wasn't worth the value, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, because that changes was like, okay, I got a new USB-C. Okay, no big deal. I live without it. I had the other cables. MagSafe. No, I had MagSafe at the 12, 9 to you. Dynamic island. Okay. That's it. There was nothing like it wasn't value. The iOS 18, that's the only thing I really was looking forward to, and it was coming to the 12 anyway. So if I go back in time, tell Pete hold off, maybe not two more models, I would have done that. I would just stay with my, the features are not that much. The only thing I have updated, not by choice because I changed carriers and they don't carry over the watches because I have the LTE just in case something happens. My mom can handle me. For some reason, T-Mobile and Verizon, even AT&T, those three carriers, you have to get their carrier watch. That's the only difference. But I really don't upgrade anything. Like I get a new cable, but that's wear and tear. That's anything. But the phones don't upgrade. Even Samsung phones, we get to the point now with the phones. All the phones, they're not major upgrades anymore. The upgrades are like minimum, bare minimum.
Yeah. But again, the point has been made earlier. I mean, RGB said again, people simply, you're going to pay for it. Again, it's what you value, is what you're willing to pay for it. But the question I'm asking, and we're just using the iPhone as an example. We're just saying, period. Like, why is that? I mean, there's always, even when I was growing up, even when we didn't have money, there was always a level of consumption or consumerism that made you either more popular. So back in the day, you had your Adidas shell toe, or before then, I go back to the 70s, you had your Converses and you had your Pro Kids. All right, if you had those, you were the coolest guy out there. Then when the Adidas shell toe came out in the 80s, you were there. Then the Air Jordans came out, and people were paying $140 for Air Jordans back in 1985. So again, in today's money, people were spending money on these things. So I'm always asking the question as to why people are so willing to spend money on things. And again, I don't know if it's just an American issue. It seems to be growing. And the point I was making in terms of global, yes, America is clearly, this is the staple of capitalism here, absolutely, in the United States. But it seems to be creeping into other markets as well, where people have this idea. It's like, I have to have the latest. I have to have the latest Jordans. I got to have the latest LeBrons or whatever that is. We're always grasping for something of value. And is that coming at the expense of, again, other things that, again, I was talking earlier about, again, saving, investing, in important things, is the consumerism that everybody seems to be so wrapped up in. Is it coming at the cost of your future? Because it's not like you're buying Jordans. Now, I know guys who bought Jordans for investment. Like, they got them in the plastic, wrapped up, vacuum in the closet, not selling it. It's almost like just like you would sell trading cards or anything else. I know some guys who do that. But I'm just saying the consumerism is yeah, exactly, God or money. I mean, this is something on to me, a philosophical level, where I'm asking the questions as to, where, and is this going to reach a breaking point at some point where, again, because we're swimming in an unsecure place when it comes to money and markets. Again, all this stuff could come down in an instant. And so where is that going to leave us? What do we have to survive? When we've all gone through economic times, 2008 crash, the housing market crash, where is this going to end at some point? And at the end of the day, does it come down essentially to, again, what you value? And do our values need to be reassessed so that we won't find ourselves in a situation that is, it's like, whoa, we're going to be hit with something and we're not going to be able to recover from it? You muted. Yeah, I'll just keep it going until he comes back. Yeah, 183307. However, they don't own a generator when the electricity goes out. However, they own 100 pairs of Jordans. Yeah, it's those kind of values that, it really, and Ania, again, good to see you tonight. Welcome to the show. So again, these are things that we have to have, because again, money's always going to be, unless you're of the top 1% of 1%. This country, only 10% of people make over $100,000 a year. So again, we're not, most people aren't swimming in money. And again, 100,000, depending on where you live. Yes, I can. So again, 100,000, depending on what, like in Jersey and where we're at, 100,000 is middle class. Like you're not the six figure thing. You really got to be up to like mid six figure if you want that money to kind of have any kind of staying power, throughout. But 100,000 in Jersey, New York, tri-state area is not a ton of money. And so yeah.
Before I get into my announcement on what I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, from the Spartan HQ Network and people from the Blackbird Network, this is what we call the Actual King Smith's curse. So every time I have the difficulty, because you're on the stream, you curse me, you son of a bitch. So seriously, so here's how I take things. So people go for the Jordans, and for an investment or for their personal use, whatever, right? I don't ever buy a shoe over $100 because I'm gonna beat the shit out of it eventually. The only time I buy a shoe is more than 100 is boots that I will get out 5 or 6 years out of it. So maybe 150, 200 max. My dress shoes that I bought one time, and somebody bought them as a gift, by the way. They were like 3 something, but that is the exception to it. Now, clothing and all that stuff, I buy everything on the sale rack, the clearance rack. Like I have suits, gym clothes, this shirt, everything clearance. I'm like,
yeah. Like, I'm an avowed Marshall-holic. So Marshalls, TJ Maxx. If I don't find it there, it's very rare I'm going to get it. This shirt I bought might have been like $10, $12 or something like that. So I gave it. I don't need brands. I was, very rarely I'm a brand guy on anything. I'll even go to the thrift stores. I'll go to the secondhand stores and get stuff. Unique Thrift in the area. Shout out to them. Bought a lot of things. I bought a leather jacket there for like $15 back in the day. It had a couple scratches on it, but that's that's me. But
some things I will go to Under Armour and buy their the name brand, if you want to call it that. But I will buy that like the sale that like they're trying to get rid of the product. They're just pushing it out at the one door pretty much. Like my Jordans, I have one pair of Jordans. I bought them for $80, and they were on sale. They were just trying to get them out of there. They go, well, if you're looking for sneakers, you go here. They go, and I can give you another 20% on top of the sale. I'm like, really? Now you ain't got my interest. Like, it's very few things I'll buy like high, except maybe like body wash, cologne, face wash. Those I obviously can't find those on sale usually. So that's an exception to our rule. But everything else, I would buy on clearance. Like the only time I don't buy things on clearance, and this is usually only at Comic-Con because they have some cool shirts, like on an Avenger shirt, but they have sales like buy 2 and get 1 free kind of thing. Like you pay $25 for 2 shirts and you get a free one for. Or last year I bought 4 shirts and they threw 2 more in there for free, but they're usually they're bundled up in like a surprise gift set kind of thing.
Right.
It was a cool shirt. Don't get me wrong. The blue one I usually wear if you see once in a while. But again, I buy things cheap. Is where I'm like only exception to the other rule, except beauty products, if you want to call it that, is tech. Tech you can't go cheap sometimes because if it's on sale, usually is the end of it. But it's something we as Americans we go crazy for. Like you heard the Jordan number 3058 is coming out. It's like it has a space boosters and rollerblades on it, and it can make you fly. Flip flops, like man, that's fire. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, we're not even talking about the name brand Jordans, like the ones you would go to like a Foot Locker or whatnot and buy. I mean, you got some of these athletes, they got access to Jordans that are so specialized. It's like $2,500. Like I remember watching some podcast or something, and the guy had his Jordan collection. He had stuff in there that you're not going to buy any of these Jordans in a name brand store. So you got these customized versions that go into the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for them. So again, but these sneakerheads, they definitely consume. But and again, and I understand that everyone is going to have a different thing of what they value. So you may not value clothing as much as you do tech or vice versa, or something, something to that degree. Everyone has has their, as Ted DiBiase used to say, everybody has a price, right? So so everybody
I
is,
agree.
has their points where they're going to spend their money on things that they value. And certainly we're not here to say, or I'm not certainly here to say what you should and shouldn't value. But I just think overall, just as this consumption culture, we've tied so much of our own value as human beings. I mean, this is the gray area. We're talking about human condition here. How we feel about ourselves is really important. And we tie that increasingly, I think, to materialism, in terms of how we value our ourselves. And I think that's just something that is, you value electricity, shop. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's important.
Don't get me started on electricity prices.
We wouldn't be able to be here tonight if we didn't have electricity. So yes, absolutely. Shout out to it. Or yes, I got a broadband and I got the 1 gig high speed internet connection in the house. Absolutely. So I value that. But when it comes to other things, it's a different conversation. But even when it came to weddings and like rings and things of that nature. Like I remember back in the day, that whole idea, they had this thing about when you buy a wedding ring, it should be, I think it was 2 months salary. I think it was for a wedding ring. You should be willing to spend at least 2 months salary on a wedding ring. Come to find out that was like a De Beers campaign. De Beers is like one of the largest diamond merchants and manufacturers in the world. So that was like a campaign that they came out with from back in the day. So the idea was like, well, look, if you love her enough, if she's that special to you, then, you spend this kind of money. Whereas back in the day, your wedding ring could have been an heirloom. You know what I'm saying? Like that could have been your grandmother's ring or your great grandmother's ring or something that was considered valuable, at least within the family. And obviously getting married, you're essentially joining a family. But then people were like, no, if it doesn't have, a certain caratage to it, you're not serious about marrying me unless it has a certain carriage. And that, again, that's just another example of that. So again, what we value is something that Winston leather, Wilson leather, but not Winston. They used to make leather for Louis Vuitton. They're a Nigerian tannery that used to supply the Indians, the Italians, to credit their work. Yeah, I mean, certainly you get some fine made products and finishes. I know people when they've traveled to Italy, they've gotten some, certainly things made, whether it be suits or custom made shoes or whatnot. They'll make them like right there for you, and before you leave, the shoes are ready, and they do everything by hand and whatnot. So again, there's a perceived value in that kind of craftsmanship that people are willing to spend money on. And I can even see that. I can see looking at something, and you can put value on something just like a work of art. Again, but what's the difference between a painting that's $200? I mean, again, you go to Comic-Con. I mean, obviously, you're going to see a bunch of artists in their work, and they're going to be selling it at various price points. So somebody would it shock me if we went to Comic-Con and someone was trying to sell something for like $10,000, like an artwork or art piece or something like that?
You're going to see that. You're going to. See. I seen collectibles, not action figures, collectibles. I mean, the really nice ones that sometimes you see on Amazon too. They're collectible, like
right.
100, 200, 300. Like I have some in my corner over there. I seen it up to like $900, and that's cheap in their eyes.
Yeah.
I seen some that are literally glassed up, lock, key, and everything, value like eight grand and over. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah. So really fast to King's comment. Any of you guys, yes. So you've been behind the news because you've been traveling a little bit. Me and Paul will be at Comic-Con, and I have the tickets right here to prove it. So I will see your ass because I know you're gonna be there. I'll see your ass there.
Cool.
So we got a bone to pick with you. So I'm just because I can break your balls. That's the only reason I'm going to do that. Again, whoever's going to be there, please come up, shake our hands, take a picture. And Mr. President is signing autographs for his election. So make sure you see us. We'll be there. And
come take a photo.
I will see you
thumbs up too. Yeah. So we'll take a photo together. I'll give you the thumbs up in the photo. So very political picture.
King, I will hit you up tomorrow sometime or Tuesday the latest. So heads up on that. But back to what we're saying. With things are expensive at Comic-Con. Let's be honest. Like it's the value. Autographs. Obviously, I don't have it on this side, but on my back side of the wall, I have autographs all over my wall. My office is something I collect. The value is for me. I know people look at me like, why you spend money for autographs? It's a waste of money. Personal preference. But I have a limit how much I would spend. Great example. So I was in 1 year, Stanley was there. Stanley was charging that year $95 just for the autograph. That wasn't my issue. The money, that was a good value I thought for him. But the line was literally wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. It was like a good 8 to 9 hour line easily. I could not.
Which obviously is going to drop the price up because again, it's the demand.
Yeah,
it's certainly much greater than the supply. You only got one Stan Lee, so if you're going to have an 8 or 9 hour line, he can charge almost anything he wants, and he's going to get his price.
Now, the year was it like a year after or a year 2 years after that? Well, let's say 2 years for argument's sake. I was with my cousin that year, and Luke Skywalker was there. I was very excited.
Mark Hamill, yeah.
I woke up to his booth, $150 just for an autograph. I went, hell fucking no. At the time, Star Wars wasn't really coming back. It was before Disney Plus, before the movies were back in the action. It was before all that stuff. So when I saw that, I'm like, I am not paying $150. That is like half my budget at the time. I'm like, because I wasn't, didn't want to. That year, I had a small budget that year because I saw who was there. I wasn't really impressed too much. Like this year, it's not like a lot of people, but again, I realized when I got there, like, a lot of things changed. I learned my lesson the hard way. So I looked over. I'll go, yeah, I can't do 150. As much I wanted his autograph for my collection, the value wasn't there for me. Even to now, I don't think 150 is valued that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But what do you think about, Anton said $150 for his wedding band. Yeah, see, our wedding band, in fact, I lost my wedding ring about 10 years ago. Like just lost it and I never got it replaced. I use silicone rings now. I got about a dozen different colored. If you guys ever notice when I'm wearing my ring, I'm not wearing one now, but if you ever notice, I wear a different colored ring, silicone ring, because I can work out with it. I don't have to take it off or anything like that. I never replace my wedding ring. And at no point in time did I ever feel any less married or less committed to my wife. Because I never had that ring. I've worn faucets like a faucet for a sink as a ring at times just to have something on my finger. It never mattered to me. But again, the ring market for the ladies. I mean, like how much would you be willing to spend? So you meet Mrs. Sparta, right? So this is the one absolutely. What are you willing to shell out?
I was engaged before. I can't even already answer that question. I was engaged, and I was headed over heels for her. I love the death out of that woman. I dropped $10K on her ring. 10 goddamn K.
Woo.
It gets better. This one I haven't really talked about too much in the air, but I'm going to pop the bubble. So I put insurance on it because I didn't, God forbid, it got chipped or anything. I wanted that insurance. 10K was not a little money. So what broke the camel's back with me that day was she talked to her friends at the store at K Jewelers or Spanish saying, hey, tell your fucking man if he trades your ring and he gets a upgrade, meaning it could have been 10,000. I just paid it off and I had to pay whatever difference of the next upgrade. So it has to be diamond for diamond and upgrade from there. So I couldn't go for 10,000. That'd be 10,000 plus whatever I want to put into it. But say another 5,000. So it'd be a $15,000 ring.
Right.
So I made it publicly in the air. Like she was very physical and verbally abusive towards me. She literally I was covering my face. How much she was swinging at me in my face today.
So she was putting the DV on you then.
Oh yeah, I have still scars. You can barely see them. If I come up close to camera, you can probably see the scars in my head.
Wow,
that's how bad it is.
Wow.
So, what I was wrong, and you can tell me I'm wrong. I know. When we broke up, like you can keep the fucking ring. I don't give a shit at this point. It's already paid off or whatever. I should have taken that goddamn ring and traded it in for something for myself. But my point is trying to value is how much if the next person I meet, Mrs. Sparta, the Ghost of Sparta, Mrs. Litteridge is, whatever her name is. if she's worth it for me, like that she was, I'll pay 10,000, 20,000, 40,000. I don't care the value of the money because I'm buying one wedding ring and that's it. If you lose it, I'm gonna strangle you after that. But
so why go through? So again, why go through all that? Or for the ladies, I mean, we got several ladies in the chat tonight. 183307. Again, if for those of you, if you're not married or whatever, what do you care? Is, or what value do you put on a wedding ring? So again, the trade off is this: until death do you part. So this is going to be your forever person. All right. So we're not putting the D word on there or anything. And so again, what is your value point if a guy is serious about proposing to you? I'd be curious about that to see what the ladies think is, for a person who's serious about marrying you. What do you even have that kind of expectation, or could the guy come up on you with his great grandmother's ring or something like that and drop down on one knee and get that to you? What is the so I'd be curious from the ladies in terms of, for those, especially for those who aren't married. I'd be curious about that. But yeah, but that's some serious coin to put down. But it's but again, it's more so what are you communicating from your point of view when you did that the first time, or if you'd be willing to do that again? What do you no price on ring? I care more about how I get treated. Shout out to Alicia. Alicia, appreciate that. But what are you communicating if you went out? If you got $1,000 ring, if she's in fact the one, would she care?
I don't think she would, to be honest with you. It doesn't matter. I actually had this conversation with CQ's wife. I had it with some other women I know. It's not really the value behind the ring. Is how I give it to the person, if it's out of love or not. If it's just, give it here, just take a fucking ring so I can show you up. No. If I really love the person and bought the ring, if it was only worth, like, say, $500, doesn't matter. That's price. The number does matter, really. It's coming from the heart. And I think that's the problem we have now. I don't care what country you come from. We wonder, like, oh, he got your ring? Oh, that looks cheap. That only looks like a $200 ring. Man, he doesn't love you enough.
Yeah, so that's the thing too. The whole conversation about this value, right? It's like you could be on cloud nine. The man you wanted to marry, he's all in. You could be in your happy place, but then you get around the pack, if you will, and they totally turn your thing around you. Like it's like, oh my gosh, he doesn't love you anymore.
Yep.
And a lot of these women aren't even married themselves. They got nothing going on, but they rob you of your value. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, what are you then left with? I work with a woman who intentionally, well, again, first time the guy proposed to her, and the first thing out of her mouth, got down to one knee and everything. The first thing out of his mouth was, Can't you do better than that? That's the first thing that came out of her mouth. Now,
wow,
he comes with another ring. And a couple years later, she's not liking it as much as she did before. And then she intentionally loses the ring in the sink. She's washing dishes, and she comes up with this, but she intentionally, and she confesses this.
You're wicked. You're wicked. That's right. You're wicked.
She confesses it to me, and he gets her another ring. And so I'm like, so again,
Paul, I'll be honest with you. If she lost the ring on me, any woman lost the ring in the next one, I promise you one thing. I'm not buying her ring. I'm going to brand a fucking ring on her finger so she doesn't lose it again. I'm like, come here.
So upset.
There we go.
So I'm saying, so why
ever say another motherfucking word to me?
So why go through all of that then? Why not again? Is Mrs. Sparta, is Mrs. Panayotis, is she that one to be like, look, I don't care what you get me. Now, again, it doesn't mean that you don't want to put some value on it or whatever. But again, if that's the one, if you think that $10,000 or whatever that is, if that's going to buy you in your mind, is like, what is that getting you? That means she's going to love you any harder. That is, she's going to be more loyal to you over time. You know, so again, what are
Honestly, the money has no value. I learned that the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
I thought like I'm gonna buy whole. This is my mindset at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one. I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna have a house. I'm gonna have dogs, cars, everything. And like my dream is finally coming true. And I was so blind of the love. I didn't see the reviews first of all, and that's what usually happens.
Mm-hmm.
So when I put on like the value was in love, but I realized now going through this is okay. Maybe 10,000 a little bit overboard. I'll give you that, but not getting it back was also idiotic on my side. Like King said, I should have got it back.
Mm-hmm.
What I would have done differently was I would have maybe not let me spend half of that and maybe put the other half on a down payment on a house or a car or something else.
Right.
I would have done that. I would have, explained to her, like, listen, you have to choose. You want an expensive ring that might get chipped and get fucked up over the years, and we're gonna have to replace that eventually one day.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens. I've seen people they don't lost, and like I look, buddy mine looked at his wife like one day. He goes, "I gotta update your ring. Your ring is like beat up pretty bad." He goes, "Like, no, it's my ring. Like, you can keep that. Let me get you an update version because I want to do that because I didn't have money back then. I felt like I needed to do something, and that's their prerogative. Nothing wrong with that,
right?
But again, is the value like I wear jewelry, like I have my necklace. You know what I'm saying? Like and my earrings, but that to me that's the value for me. That's something I wanted to get for me. But the value I got out of myself. Did I spend a lot? I'll tell you how much I spent for everything. 4 earrings and a necklace with, I had some trade-ins. Jewelry I didn't wear. I only spent like $500, to be honest with you.
Right.
I traded everything. I just increase the value of what I have. That's all.
Right. But the jewelry that doesn't define your value.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think that's, right. The general point that I'm making is, are we becoming such where, money is starting to define us, or the value or the tangible or the material things we associate with being successful, being intelligent, being smart, or what have you. But then you hear stories like Warren Buffett still drives like an old beat up car. You know what I mean? Or he lives in an older house or whatever.
That gives me a good story to explain. So I was talking to a woman online, but this is way before I met my ex-fiance and all this stuff. So I was doing the online dating for a while, and she goes to me, she asked me some basic questions like, do you have a decent job? She didn't ask me how much do I have a decent job. I go, yeah, I work for I work in healthcare. I'm a chef. So I didn't tell her details like can you be able to take care of kids and stuff like that if I was out of work? Or like, yeah, I'll be a little tight at times, but yeah. And we conversing escalated and stuff like that. Eventually, I realized, okay, she's digging for information. Me and tell her how much I make, so she can, I'm a gold digger pretty much. So this is one of the conversations. Not all women that you meet online or person will ask you, like not all of them, but a few of them will ask you, how much do you make a year? What is your value? $sign. Right. And I'm never comfortable saying that to them.
Right.
Because what it matters.
I mean, I can understand there's a practical, again, if you're in the US especially, I understand. Again, I'm not an altruist. I'm not saying, oh, well, I'm not willing to live in a tent somewhere or something like that. I understand that, again, there's certain things that you have to be mindful of. Again, especially if you're a woman, if you're going to have kids, if you're going to be in a position where you're not going to be able to make money, then again, especially your natural instinct you want to be in a position where your family is cared for. So I get that. I understand that there are some practical things that people need to look into do. But I do remember now. I remember on another. I think it was the Flipping Table show. BMU showed a clip of I guess there was this woman. I guess it was this white family. And they were asking like how much you guys live on a month or something like that. And it was like a ridiculously low number, like $1,500 a month or something like that. And they were just able to have their family. I don't know if they lived in a trailer or whatever. But again, they seem to be very well functioned and adjusted living in, that particular their particular situation. And they didn't seem any more the worse off. But again, you have people who have significantly a lot more money. And still, so again, $30,000 a year, but you have $300,000 a year, $600,000 a year. We all know what happens with celebs and all that kind of stuff. That it doesn't necessarily buy you, it doesn't ensure that you're going to be happier because you have the bigger ring or the bigger house or the nicer cars or what have you. But we tend to tie so much of what we perceive as value, or that we feel loved or we feel special because of what someone's willing to spend on us or what we even willing to purchase on ourselves. Like I said, the silicone rings, I got, like I said, a ring for I got every color. So this shirt, I got a ring for every color. I might spend $8-10 for a ring or whatever, get one off sale or whatever. And I just accessorize it over the years. I'm like the Mandarin, right? I got all these different rings. And I just, it works. So again, will I get my wedding ring replaced at some point in time? Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know if I would even wear it as a ring anymore. What I may do, because I just had this habit, and I just, for a long time, I lost or misplaced it. So like I would always go to, and I would wash my hands for some reason, because I'm in a hurry or something like that. I just would forget to put it back on. And I remember one time I did that at work, and HR called me up and said, "Hey, I think we got your wedding ring here." So I had to go back and get it. And she looked at me, the lady, she looked at me like I was the lowest person on earth, because how dare you leave your wedding ring in the bathroom? That was like a big thing. So, but again, shout out to the person that that found it. It was nice enough to turn it in. But then at the same time, I was like, again, it's not like I wanted to lose it. But again, my marriage is just more important than any material thing. If my wife lost her wedding rings, which are pretty, they've appreciated in value over time, it wouldn't hurt my marriage in the least. Because it's not like I'm looking at her hand all the time about, you got your ring on, or we go out somewhere. Where's your ring? No, we're together. Mentally, spiritually, we're like until death do us part. We're forever. So it, like I said, it just doesn't have that meaning to me as it may for someone else. And was she upset? I mean, yeah, she was upset that I lost the ring, but she understood also, look, this is not going to break us. So let's just move on. There was other fish to fry. There at times when it's like, yeah, let's replace it. Something else always came up. Man, we got 3 kids. And they needed braces. We put $20,000 of braces in her mouth. So it's like, yeah, well, the ring's going to have to wait because, when she needs $10,000 worth of braces in her mouth. So fine, we'll waive that off and we'll visit it later. And we just keep kicking it down the road. But we're closer now than we've ever been. So it's that, to me, that's the thing, is this money, this pursuit of money. To what degree is that going to increase? Will it increase your lifestyle? Will it increase your access? I think certainly it would. But would it increase your happiness at the end of the day is a question I think that a lot of people are starting to ask themselves.
So, I mentioned before the wedding episode we do, men usually get a band, like with the, when engagement band, pretty much. Just a plain band. So, my ex got me a band. That was like $40, $50 tops. So I didn't care about it. I was just scared it was a band, playing band. I didn't care anything about it. One thing I will agree with you is when I used to take my band off when I used to work out. Mm-hmm. Because I tried doing it when I was working out. It just hurts my
it hurt. Yeah, you've been those calluses. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. When you put the bar on, it did not function well. So that's why I took it off. But if I had a choice getting the metal or the silicone, I get the silicone. I didn't care how much value. Like I even told her, give me a rubber band. I went to her. I'm okay with a rubber band. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Like, end of the day, I know who I'm laying next to. I know who I'm waking up to, and I know who I'm fucking end of the night. That's all right. I give a shit about.
Amen.
But once you agree with what I'm saying,
amen. Hey, I'm with that.
Wise.
Absolutely. That might be one of my only few exceptions is in that in that realm there. So
I can't wait the day you actually curse. I'm just waiting for that day.
I can't see it happening anytime soon. Now, look, I think of all the time. I don't know what you think I'm a saint with it. I know I had a mouth on me.
Hear you say one time.
I had a mouth on me back in my 20s and whatnot. I just stopped. I just made a point. I just don't want to. I don't want to swear anymore. So I just make a conscious decision to not do. But in here, yeah. Oh, I got volumes in scripts, and I got all kinds of things. It just it just doesn't come out. So I just sort of train myself.
So here's the other question that BMU put up. Do you think money make us happy? Absolutely not. It makes your life comfortable. Does not make you happy. They're always saying money doesn't bring happiness. I agree 100%. It makes you comfortable, not happiness. Most people who have money are not happy. If you realize that. To
me, it depends on your definition. I think happiness is in a lot of ways a temporary state. So I don't think it makes you joyful. Like joy, for example, and I think certainly in the Christian faith, we talk about the difference between joy and happiness. Joy is like that. So like regardless of what state you find yourself in, you live in a state of gratitude. You live in a state of abundance. You always, thank God for your situations or whatnot. And you just have a peace about regardless of what comes, good or bad or indifferent, you're always going to be at peace with the situation. And so I don't think money can certainly replace that. But yeah, could money, again, especially when you spend it on things that are of value to other people, so I know people who give money, I think there's a lot of satisfaction when there's a needy family, or there's a need of some kind, or someone needs money for college, or someone needs a surgery, or just to be able to drop something in someone's hand. There is a sense of, I guess, happiness to a certain degree that I think that comes with that. But again, it's going to be temporary. It's not it can't be like a lifestyle or way of being for the long term. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to go on vacation in December. If I can get out of my contract. So I'm just learning about the sick practices here on these YouTube streets here.
Networks.
The networks. Yeah. So I'm trying to go on vacation and spend some time with my wife. So again, we're going on a Caribbean cruise.
I'll make an agreement with you at least. Okay. If you can't have somebody, step in to, cover your shift, I'm okay with it then. I'll sign off on it tonight. If you find somebody who can cover it, I'll sign off on it tonight. How does that sound?
Okay, so I'm looking for people to host the Gray Area. This is mid-December, so December 15th and December 22nd. I'm looking for a guest co-host who's willing to tolerate and sit and share the stage with the Ghost of Sparta for a couple evenings. My wife and I, as we go into this empty nesting stage of our lives, trying to enjoy ourselves before Christmas and go on a cruise. First time we've been on a cruise in 25 years. And so we're trying to will that be an opportunity for happiness? Yes, to experience new things and just to have that, that kind of getaway time. Yeah, I would think that something like that, there'd be some happiness from that. And we have some memories that, certainly we can, talk about in the future.
Crazy question. When you guys go on vacation, who watched the little one?
The kids. We still got our daughters here. They're not going anywhere. They all got shift work or whatnot. But if we don't know, there's a service that we use called Rover. And it's just like, look, I mean, there's people who will watch your dogs. I mean, because I didn't want to take them to one of those dog hotels. But I mean,
that personally.
Yeah, but we found somebody through Rover and went over to the house. We interviewed her. It's like getting a babysitter. It literally is like that. You go there, you talk to them, their house or whatnot, and everybody has different rules. So some people allow the dog can go anywhere. The dog can go on our bed, on our couch, or whatever. She had a dog. She had a dog herself, and so he had a buddy for the week or whatnot. She would send me pictures every day. They're hanging out on the couch and everything, and it just Rover or Wag, absolutely. So again, it's like anything else. If you need a babysitter or something like that, you can find someone, but again, you got to go. It's like anything else. You got to go to the work. If you can meet them, check out their house, check out their situation, check their references. You can't leave my baby with anyone. Let me know what you have. Unless you mean a real baby or if you're talking about a dog, but what breed you have, I'd be interested to know. But you got to do your homework. Just like you would have to have a babysitter for your kids. You got to do that same due diligence. When you have and the interesting thing, both Grooming and I, we're both Beagle parents, right? So again, that was something that we didn't know about each other before we came to the spaces. So again, one of the gray areas, one of the commonalities that we found was that we're both Beagles. My Beagle's 6 years old. How old is yours now, Grooming?
5.
5 years old. So again,
He's gonna be
middle-aged
5
beagles,
in October.
middle-aged beagles, and 2 pit. My gosh, boss
Oh,
man,
holy
I got
shit.
I got 2 pit bulls, man. But the 11 dogs. I mean, despite the reputation sometimes, but yeah, pits are very affectionate, loving dogs. So shout out to you for having them. But yeah, so you do those things, and again, that costs money. Because again, depending on if the person's good, if they have a good reputation, they're not gonna, they're gonna charge you a higher rate per day than somebody who, might be like just a college student or something like that. But again, do you want that person necessarily looking at your bull terrier? Nice. Do you want somebody, of that who might not be as well known? But again, these places, they have references, they have star ratings, they have reviews, they have, so it's like anything else. You got to do your homework. But we were very comfortable leaving him, for that few days. And certainly we would go back to that, and hopefully that same person, if she's available for that time away, if we had to. So absolutely, doing the reviews on Rover, yeah, definitely.
I'm actually looking at it right now as you're talking about it, and it's interesting. I'm just curious because I do have a dog walker for Alex, just in case I need to go out of town. Like when I went
and they
to
do
Maryland.
that as well. So you can get so you can get a dog walker through Rover. You can get have them stay overnight at someone's home, or they can come to your place. I mean, there's all kinds of different arrangements that you can arrange through Rover. But yeah, but again, the better ones, the ones with the better reputations, usually they cost more because everybody wants them because they are that good. And so that is definitely something that you have to pay for. So yes, so again, money can certainly increase your access to things, improve your standard of living, improve a lot of things in your life. But if you have voids, whether mentally, spiritually, or whatever, money can't necessarily satisfy those. And if your worth is based on your money, on your clothes, on your image. I mean, we talk about black community again. How much money black women are willing to spend on hair, weaves, hair, whatever. How much money is in that, or nails, or anything like that. But again, that's part of their for a lot of them, that's part of their identity, and they're not willing to put a price back. I know people spend like $10,000 on a weave. You know what I mean,
bro?
So
a buddy of mine was dating a girl with a weed, and he went for a kiss her first time. So he was trying to be polite, hold her hair out of her face as he's kissing her. The whole thing came out in his hands.
Oh man,
I'm like, he goes, dude, this is not funny. It's the worst first date I ever had.
Man,
I'm like,
yeah.
She probably killed you. Like, oh, she almost stabbed me, dude. Like that's that cheap shit. But I think sometimes you spend too much money on stuff. I'm not denying that. Like even barbershops now, dude. Like this better than I do. It's too expensive now. Like 50, 60 bucks.
That's one, and that was an economic decision. And I'm glad I did it because it was just before the pandemic, and it was definitely something where I decided, because I kept losing my hair. I mean, I was definitely losing the battle. The baldness was taking over. So I just decided to go and napalm the whole thing. And the hardest conversation I had to have was with my barber. I said it was like breaking up a marriage. You know what I mean? It was like, sorry, this guy, I know him, his father. I mean, they're family. And I'm saying, like, look, I'm not coming to you anymore, but I'm glad I did, because like I said, that was just before the pandemic. And so I was already used to shaving my head, and it obviously I've saved, over the course of the year, hundreds, if not probably $1,000, $1,500 a year, just not going to the barber every week.
I'm going to use King, for example. He's a older brother like yourself, but he still goes to barber. He likes going for that experience, shaving, get a hot shave for his head, and get his beard shaped up. And that's his personal experience, and it's not bad.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm definitely shaving a lot of money on shampoo and wave creams. I used to have a lot of waves in my hair, so the time brushing my hair, have the wave strokes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I gave up that lifestyle that dominated my life for years. I would spend hours like watching a baseball game or something, just brushing and getting that wave pattern to grow in and doing all that stuff. And so yeah, it was a chore. So I've liberated myself. So again, follically free not only is a lifestyle, but again, it saves you a lot of money. So
well, I just came up with a great idea.
What is this?
Remember our
Okay,
bet?
I'm dying to hear
Remember
this.
our little bet we just in?
Mhm.
How about if you lose, you have to grow a beard for 6 months?
Man,
What do you think?
6 months. What is so?
Okay, I'll give you 3 months. How's that sound?
Man, 3 months. I'm gonna look like one of those Aborigines or something like that. 'Cause again, I don't have even hair growth. I have literal
walk you
bald
through it.
spots on my
I will
face. That
walk you through
no,
it.
I'm saying there's spots on my face. I do not have hair follicle. I'm telling you, like whole areas where again hair will grow. The only way I had, in fact, when I was in college, I did have a little beard. Back in the day, we used to call it the Inhotep. So the Inhotep, you would have like a little beard right here, and it would grow out maybe like an inch or two. So I had not quite a goatee. It was like the mustache with the
Okay, a
rounding.
goatee. Technically, this is the goatee. The mustache is
Right,
this
but it wasn't even that.
added
It was
on.
literally here. It was. We called it a hotep. So from the Egyptian King Imhotep. So you had it was a narrow beard that grew out from here, and it went down about an inch or whatever, and that's what you would and that's what you would have. So I remember rocking one of those back in the day, but nothing else. Like I said, but the sides, I never had even hair growth. 'Cause like I said, I was in a position where I didn't shave for about 6 months. When I had my auto accident, I was laid up for 6 months, so I didn't really shave at all for that time period, and it got pretty under here, it got pretty full. But the sides, all of this right here, there was nothing happening. And
So
and
can you do a goatee at least right now?
possibly, yeah. I mean, like here, I could probably do, but again, mustache probably not. I never had a good hair growth here, and then again with the ingrowns, you spent half your time with a pen picking out your ingrown hairs. So it's just for me, my hair is like very curly. So it's like
See,
it
I
comes
was
in
gonna
like
say, I was gonna say the bet would be, you grow a beard. If you lose, I'll have you shave my head.
What if I just wear like a wig? Can I wear a wig for one of our broadcasts? I will wear like a men's
hell
club
fucking no.
beard. For a show. I will wear that. That is an excellent bragging right. Right? I come up on the show and I have to wear like a toupee for the show,
Can
and
I
that
do
is
it?
going to be on the BMU network for life. I think that is a very good trade-off. For me to wear, get me one of those like Howard Cosell toupees or whatever, and wear that.
Here's a
for-
fair one. I got a good one now. If you lose, you have to wear a Jets hat for the rest of the season.
Oh, easy. Well, I grew up a Jets fan. I was a Jet fan before you were. So I was. Listen, I remember. Look, Richard Todd, the New York Sack Exchange, Mark Gastineau, Salam, Lions, and those guys, Freeman McNeil, Richard Todd. I remember the Mud Bowl. So I grew up a Jets fan, as well as the Steelers. Because again, back then you only had channels 2, 4, and 7, and channel 5. So you either watch the Jets or you watch the Giants. You watch the Steelers. That was like a Monday night game. But I still followed the Steelers, and they became my favorite team overall. But
all right,
I
we'll
live
figure
for
it
the
out.
Jets and Giants. Yeah. So that'd be an easy one.
How far are you from the stadium?
I'm like minutes from the my workplace is minutes from the stadium, so I can easily.
How far you live?
About an hour.
It's not bad.
I mean, I'm central. Yeah, I'm Central Jersey, so I'm middle of the state.
Yeah. All right, we'll figure out a fair solution to this. We have time. Don't worry. We have a couple
Shout out
weeks
to
ahead of us.
Anton's been shaving his head since 2004. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. Patriots fans, certainly they he's the GOAT. I ain't gonna lie about it. Tom Brady is the
cheating GOAT, that is.
Hey, he's still the GOAT. I mean, look, won Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Come on now. But just this idea of but I want to go back to just quickly talking about, again, I still want to know the Greek mindset when it comes to, again, saving or where your money goes. Now, I know a lot of Greek Americans, I know they're very entrepreneurial. So again, if you go to, especially if you New Jersey, you go to a diner, more times than not, it's owned by Greeks.
Even up here.
Yeah, so I mean, so again, I know they're very much pro business. So I don't know if they're into like 401ks or saving and investing and or whatnot, or buying materials. Like I said, I talked about gold. I actually put earlier in the chat for those who came in earlier. I'll put in the chat the trend of gold, like over the last 100 years, and the trend of silver. And I know gold is at a pretty high price point, at this particular time, but silver is still relatively cheap. In fact, the cost of silver right now is, I want to say it was like $29.20 in it. Yeah, $29.20 is the current price of that, but it did have a drop back in 2010, 2011. It was up to like $53, $53, I guess an ounce for it. But again, durables. Do you know have like a lot of people who invest in gold coins, or is that something that
I believe
that
a lot of Greeks buy Greek coins. It's a thing for a while, and I don't know if it still is a thing, but that's where they're investing in money is gold, like gold chains, gold coins, gold.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So Joey, so again, I want to know what that value set is. It's like if you have spare money as a Greek person, where they're more than likely to put their money. Are they going to put it in the markets, or are they going to put it into durables, or are they going to put it into something? Are they putting it under their bed? Are they hiding it in a safe? Again, I just want to get just a general idea of the mindset. So let's say if you had, your bills are paid and whatnot, you got $10,000. What's taught, okay, in the Greek mindset to say, okay, if you got this kind of money, hey, go spend it on vacation, go, buy here, buy this, or they say, hey, invest it into something. Like what does the typical Greek person do? And again, for anyone in the chat, if you come from a different culture that values money differently, when you do you buy land with it? Do you buy real estate? I mean, what are some of the things that you've been taught over time? If you came into right now, let's say 10,000, especially in the tri-state area, that might not get you anywhere. But let's say $25,000. I did a Thanos snap. You got $25,000. What's the first thing that you're going to do with it? And again, if you come from a cultural background that teaches you certain things on what to do with money, are you going to tie 10% of it? And then what are you going to do with the money when you get it?
Me is different versus the other person. Everybody has their own mindset. Some people are investing into a business. Some are going to invest it into a house. Some are going to just put in a safe or a CD account and just grow interest on it. Everybody different. Me personally, I would invest it into a house, to be honest with you, because that's one thing. Value always goes up is in property. It does never go down. It always goes up. Mm-hmm. So even if I just bought a plain land and I had no house in it, the value is going to go up on that property.
Right.
So property, I would invest in a property on a heartbeat.
In property, right. And then, but is that a mindset amongst, is that a mindset amongst Greek people? Like here, especially if you're Greek American or whatever, if you got money, either buy down payment on the house or buy property or whatever, is that something that is like dominant? Like, if you listen to your uncles and whatnot, they're talking conversations or whatnot, or is that something that is given to you? Like in terms of, hey, this is what you need to do with your, if you come into some money.
Your family members are always going to give you advice. Every single one of them. Everybody's going to give you a different advice, and you have a different mindset in your head. So like I said, okay, I want to invest in property. Like, what do you know about property? You have no idea about that. Invest it into a diner instead. That's just insure money, but nothing's insured in business. You can, as much as you think you're gonna make money, you can lose a lot of money fast too. Mm-hmm. So it goes both ways on that.
Yeah, but I've seldom seen diners. I've seen a couple of them close down, especially with the pandemic or whatnot. But again, we were just at a Greek diner yesterday. Had a great workout and whatnot. Went there. That's kind of our thing. Sometimes we'll go on Saturdays or whatever. We'll grab at a local diner, and they tend to do well. Even in the pandemic, I remember they would set up shop. They had tents outside, like they had like very sort of think and outside the box ways which to survive. So they did. Businesses definitely seems to be something that I've observed. That that is certainly something that they tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a shout out to my buddy. I don't want to say names because I don't know how comfortable he is, but he goes to my church.
Nice.
He's in my Strasbourg. He owns. He's a good businessman. So he runs the diner, his family diner. So I realized one thing, and I asked him a while back, like, dude, why are you not open for dinner anymore? Like, the value wasn't there. He goes, I'm like, I had to put all these products in my diner and pay my guys, and I'm making maybe breaking even, and that's not now. I do breakfast and lunch, and I make a profit every day. That makes more sense because breakfast is cheap products to bring in. Like eggs are not expensive. Like for I think like was it a case of eggs now they're going for $1.20, and you're selling one egg for every 250. Just do the math now. A case is like 8 dozen. You add it up. Home fries, again, not too expensive. Sausage, a little price, but you get where I'm going with this. So you can make decent money off this stuff very easily and fast. But if you know how to run a diner correctly, you're fine. Every diner I have seen go out of business are usually, and I hate to say this, I'm not trying to, blow my own horn. I'm saying Greeks are better. Is non-Greek who run diners. They're saying, oh, we can do it better than, and they usually shut down faster because they have no idea. The thing with Greeks is like, okay, I know, but oh, you open a diner. Oh, I know this person who runs a diner. He comes down and helping me out but I'm like, I owe you a favor. Like, you don't owe me nothing. He goes,
right. Now, now let me ask you in regards to that. Now, is there networking when it comes to the diners? Like, because again, I've seen this, especially with the Asians. They're very good at networking when it comes to buying products. So again, they'll all kind of go in, they buy their product from an Asian supplier. So again, a lot of the money stays like within the Asian community. They talk about, certainly in the African American community, money doesn't stay in our community long. It usually goes outside of it. But certainly in Asian communities, I know that money gets circulated, and in the Turkish communities that I know of, a lot of them into educational systems and whatnot, and school clothing and whatnot. I've been to places where it's like everything's like in-house. You got a Turkish run school. All the supply and uniforms are coming from a Turkish company that supplies the stuff. I had to actually go up into northern Jersey to this place where they had the school supplies when my kids all went to this charter school that was Turkish run. And it seemed like everything seems to be networked. So in Greek business, especially like in the diner business, does everybody have like a way to network with, hey, you want to get the food and the supplies and whatnot here, go here, and does everybody have that sort of that cooperative economics that allows people to have lower costs overall?
I put it this way. So my cousin in West Orange, New Jersey, he knows the West Orange the West Orange diner guy. Just, and he doesn't own that diner. He owns half. Yeah, actually, no, all West Orange diners, some in East Orange, the Orange, and North Orange, I believe, too. So he owns about 10 diners. But he started with West Orange diner. So he, made that sure he's making profit. When he started making profit, he started putting money away. He bought the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And now all his family runs every diner you can think of in pretty much the Orange area of New Jersey. That explains it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, so I think that's a major way that, for those who, again, don't have a lot of money. I mean, I think that's one thing that, it's been brought up since, again, I was in college. We always talked about, ways of doing cooperative economics, Kuji Chagalia, and just a lot of those Kwanzaa type of concepts of course. But again, it's hard to get us to work together in the ways that we see other communities do. But it is a way to, again, how do you offset, especially when you have the rising costs to do business, and how people are able to work cooperatively for mutual benefit. And those are things that, so I think, just overall, certainly as we come towards the end of the show, I think for a lot of us, we have to change a couple things. I think we have to start reassessing what we value and the decisions that we make based on those values. Again, a lot of times people talk about divorce and why people get divorced. They always talk about finances being the issue, but a lot of that is not so much about the money. It's about your values. So you value one thing and the other person doesn't. And if those values get mismatched, then you're not going to be able to, come together on a lot of things. It's going to cause conflict. So again, what you value is going to be important, but then also how can we work in a more collaborative space to network more, to find ways to save money and share information. I mean, one of the things I always, my hopes for this platform, the BMU network and all your networks, the Sparta network, is that this can be a place where, again, we can freely share information that where everyone wins and everyone can benefit from it. So if you have an idea, if you have tips, if you have space and access, again, I encourage everybody who, who was a part of the BMU space, again, go back about I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. They had a show talking about money and investing and the different instruments that are out there that people have used to make money over time. I think we need to use a lot of these places to share. Now, again, I'm no money expert. But, and I'm willing to learn from those who certainly have certainly knowledge and experience in different areas. I'm willing to be schooled just like anybody else, regardless of what my age is.
I'm going to use Rutgers Gray, for example. He's very good at investing money. He's very good at talking about it. He's very good about crypto, stock market, anything about money. The guy is
Trey Taylor.
Smart.
I know he's been very successful and he struggled big with Tesla and so certainly, there's a lot of good guys that are out there who are willing to share information. And even if you had to pay him a little something for it, I mean, it's worth it. But I know Reckless Ray, I know in his channel, he's always, dropping dimes in terms of how to invest and give you better understanding of how, those markets work. Again, crypto and things like that, you whether you're skeptical of it or not or whatever, there's people who are at least know how to play the game in that market. And again, I hope it works out for them, certainly for the long term. But there's a lot of information to be shared, and I think we can certainly all benefit from getting knowledge and wisdom and information from those. Find those who are successful, and be willing to listen and spend the time. Go visit them for a day or whatever you got to do, and you have to get what you need in order to make wiser decisions. So again, there is something to be learned from elders. There is something to be learned from the OGs who've been successful, but even from the young guys who are making money with these more, again, exotic products. There's certainly knowledge and information to be learned. So again, if you come across some money, then ask somebody. It's like, hey, I got a little bit of money here. What should I be doing with it? There's nothing wrong with that.
Like one thing I do know very well is beer products. Like when the beer products company came out, it was a low spending, high earning, and it still is. The biggest, most expensive stuff is getting the equipment that steals the bottles and stuff like that, and that's the most expensive thing. Now, and a lot of companies are popping right and left for a while, and now the freaking beauty companies or not beauty, the who controls the beauty stuff in America is getting their hands mixed into it too. But before that, it was like Wild West with beer companies. Like, no, you can open a company with no permits. Yeah, we're okay with that. You just have to get a tax permit, and that's it. So it's one of those things. Like, the beer companies was making money over fist at one point. Live Bearded, beer brand, Mac Beard, and go on and on for hours.
Yeah.
And some went out of business, some of them still around. What are they doing right and we're doing wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it is just, like I said, it's an education. It's also a discipline. It's a process. Again, for a lot of these guys who are doing these things, they don't get to do a lot of quote unquote fun things or things that a lot of people rather spend their money on. They live very frugally. And they're very focused on what they want. I mean, some of these guys that we're talking about, you don't see them flashing or branding, expensive cars or whatever, but they're very serious and dedicated about what they want. And they're willing to put the sacrifice in to get to where they get to. So again, there's certainly information out there, and I'm definitely advocating. I think we certainly need to be more financially literate. I think that is certainly something that is, I think, essential for everyone to increase your financial literacy. Especially in the United States, and see what's going on. But at the same time, that literacy, in my personal opinion, it shouldn't, again, define who you are as a person. It should not define your value, your personal self-worth and your value. Again, use money, all right, and love people, but don't love money and use people. If that makes sense, if that's something that certainly a takeaway, certainly from this conversation, that I would like to communicate. But as we come to the end of the show, grooming, any closing thoughts or something that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
When it comes to money, do not backstab your own family. That's the biggest thing I've seen over the years. It's family should come up over money, even friends. I personally never loan money out because I don't want to argue with anybody. So like the most, if I have
man, we got to cover that. I stopped giving out money probably 20 years ago, and it's probably one of the healthiest things I've ever done. Now, again, I will give you money. And then when I mean give it, I mean like we're never having this conversation again if I give you this money. It doesn't like when I see you, I don't see dollar signs on your forehead or anything like that. I mean, it's definitely something that hey, Braxton, hey, thanks, appreciate you stopping in towards the end of the show. Appreciate you stopping through, brother. Yes, but definitely lending of money, it just never worked for me really, and it just hurt too many relationships on us. But I'll give it. But now again, I may not give you, so I won't loan you $100, but I may give you 20. And again, when I say give, I'm like, we don't have this conversation again. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's kind of like that with me. So again, I think that's done a lot for my own peace of mind and living more in a state of gratitude rather than just expectations like, oh, when this person going to pay me back or whatever. So
I'll use Comic-Con for example. Let's say we're in line, all right, and we went through a bunch of autographs, we did our thing, whatever, and I get out in person, I go, shit, I'm $5 short, and I look at you, Paul, you can hit me up with $5. 10 is the max I would ever ask anybody. And knowing you, before you even said this whole speech of yours, you probably look at me like, don't worry about it, dude, it's $5, it's not a big deal. I know you by now. And vice versa, if you were like $5 or $10, even $50 short, I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. This is money. I can make money, but I cannot make friendship over again. That's one thing I cannot replace. Our friendship. Like I tell everybody this. I mean, like me and you have become so close friends over this show and over the time. I prefer spending like whatever I spend on these damn things. I don't give a shit. I told you that on the phone. I don't give a shit about the money. Didn't remember I said that in the conversation when I told you about it?
Yeah, you did.
I don't give a shit because money is replaceable to me. But one thing is not replaceable is a friendship and bonds I have with people. Call me whatever you want to call me, but those bonds, if I had to go to war, you're the first people I call up on a phone call. Like, yo, saddle up. Rock and roll. Let's rock and roll, dude. And you might say, I got a wife and kids. Probably not because you don't have a gun. But,
and again, you have a more honest and transparent relationship. I mean, it's way more transparent that way. And it's like, look, man, I don't have it, but here, you can take this 10 for now, and then maybe reach out and reach to somebody, network with 2 or 3 other people and try to get, what you got to get. But again, you have to be on, and then again, you got to be honest in yourself. Like, don't feel like, oh, well, I gotta, yeah, I think I got it. No, don't lie to them and don't lie to yourself. Accept that, where you're at in life, not everyone's at the same level, at the same income level. That doesn't make you any lower or better than anybody else. You are where you are. If you have an opportunity to improve your financial situation, it's good for you, it's good for your family and whatnot, then by all means do it. But don't be envious of anybody. Don't look to the left and to the right about what someone has or what you don't have, because again, that's just another mindset that like I don't live in lack, and certainly what I've learned over the years, again, looking to the left or the right, where maybe in my younger days I used to think that way, that this person has it so much better, or that I was envious of somebody who I thought at the time had more than what they got. But again, as we run this race of life, and I understand just how blessed and how abundant my life has been over time. So I live in a state of abundance where it's like, look, my family, I mean, my wife is irreplaceable. I mean, no substitute for that. My kids,
that's how I feel my friends, and who I call
friends, exactly. I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. And so, so for me, that's just something that I had to grow in and adopt over time. And certainly I recommend to anyone, again, always, again, when assessing your value, you are valuable as a person, especially to those who need you the most. And your true worth is going to be, again, in your relationships, and that is a better measurement. Not how much gold and silver you have, but again, the quality of your life and experiences and the things that you could share with the people you love. So that's So you can wrap it up. I'm done.
The only other thing I'll add to that about borrowing money is I don't even care. I'm like, I had to learn this the hard way. So I learned this from CQ actually. He doesn't ever give out financial advice. Like if you ask him, like, I have $1,000, what do you think I should invest it in? Like, don't know. It's better off like that because I learned it the hard way. He's saying, oh, I should invest like it, and it backfires. Like, I thought you said it was a good idea. I'm like, oopsies. So that's one thing I would say. Don't give advice out. You just like, listen, figure it out, man. Like, I don't know. Or I say, I really don't know. So make something to excuse up. You know, like, oh, how's the weather today? Whatever. So that's another thing. Like, money is cause of all evil. I said it earlier. I think money is very demonic. It comes from the devil. That's why I personally believe. And I think, well,
again, I tweaked that a little bit. Like I said, I don't think it's demonic, but like I said, the scripture says that money is a root, a root of all kinds of evil. I mean, if you look at the translation, at least now, again, I don't know in the Greek Orthodox Bible how it translates. It's a root of all kinds of evil. So it's not evil in and of itself, but I know what is evil. And that is us. And so we're the fallen, we're the sinful ones. So again, they say money doesn't necessarily change who you are. Money ultimately reveals your character when you don't have any guardrails, okay, in terms of, again, where your values truly are. That's oftentimes with that. So it kind of exposes that rather than changing, typically who you are. So again, I put that little caveat on it. Like I said, I'm not a minimalist. I'm not like John the Baptist going to be having, eating locusts and wild honey and whatnot. No, I like some of my creature comforts and whatnot. So I'm not saying everybody just go poor or just sell everything you got or whatever. But I definitely, I think, yes, the love of money is the root, but it's not the money in and of itself. But again, that love of money that comes from us. We're the ones who are, some oftentimes morally bankrupt. And it certainly manifests itself in what we're doing. So Bossman says, well, our money is because it's currency, like the water that flows through all things, good and evil. Think about it. Absolutely. Yeah. But close us out, sir.
All right. As always, guys, this is the BMU Network and also Spartan HQ Network. Make sure to hit the like and share, subscribe. He is Mr. President, Mr. Ben, Paul, or as I call him, my brother. I am Ghost of Sparta. As always, thank you for coming in. I'll see you guys next time. Stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.
Good night, guys. Have a great week.
It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies, come and saddle up a ride. Need a yeehaw, you know how here for one night and we just wanna party. In a fast car, a Ferrari, just a push start, I don't need a car key. It's out on Broadway, and it's gnarly, on a late night, but I'm not tardy. Right on time for the parties and Barbies, strolling with a chunk of green like a golf swing. Hey, 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 bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, 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 if I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a